So the focus of today's webinar is really on synthesis and integration. Um, why does operational analytics matter? What's the purpose of investing in helping organizations get better at using data and facts? Why is it important? And then the second question, how do we go about engineering better management systems? That's really was the focus in the first webinar, OA 101, that are going to drive performance and process improvement faster and better. So how do we modify our management systems in a way that drives improvement more rapidly? And that's really the name of the game in the 20s. It's not whether you're getting better, it's whether you're getting better fast enough. And so to stay even with the competition, you've got to really step up the game, so to speak. And then what are the system components for a great business process improvement or organizational excellence program or system? What do we have to build out? How do we think about a management system for process and performance improvement from a system design and component perspective? And then after I'm done in 20 or 30 or 40 minutes from now, you're going to be sitting there probably feeling like your mouth was at a open fire hydrant, and you're going to be full and you're going to be swelling. And so the question is that I'm going to talk about at the end is, how do we make all this doable? How do we make it less overwhelming? What are the pragmatic first steps? So we'll speak to that a little bit. And then just a quick comment on the AI mini-series that's coming up. So we talked about this in previous sessions, but I wanted to recap it. So in some respects, when I was VP of Business Process Improvement at MDS in Toronto, the senior vice president of HR came up to me and he said, we were implementing an integrated Lean Sigma and business process improvement program corporate-wide. So 5,200 employees globally, $1.4 billion in revenue. So not a huge corporation, but not small. And so he said, what's the end game? He says, he said, I like all this stuff. I like the statistical process control. I like the fact that it's disciplined, it's practical. I like the fact that we're focused on processes. But what's the end game? And so I drew this picture on a flip chart for him, and I said, well, we really want to grow the cube. It's about growing the MDS cube. And so the x-axis of the cube is the number of stakeholder relationships. So think about the number of customer relationships. The y-axis is the average value of those relationships. So you can think about the average profitability of those customers. And then the z-axis is the stickiness of the relationship, how long we're able to keep our customers. And this resonated with him. He said, I get it. So I said, our objective is to figure out ways to keep increasing the X, Y, and Z axis, and to do that systematically. And so when you think about, if you thought about what are the ways to grow the cube, you can grow the positioning strategy. So we can talk about how we position ourselves in the marketplace. We can expand the markets that we serve. We can expand the customers that we serve. We can focus on value exchange optimization. So the simplest way to think about the middle column of this is think about CRM, loyalty programs. So that's probably the easiest way to think about that middle column. And then the far right side is where industrial and systems engineers typically play, and that is improving quality, improving efficiency, improving productivity. So my point to him was that an operational excellence program doesn't just focus on the right side. It focuses on everything that the business does, all the different ways, all the various ways that we can grow the cube, so to speak. Now, in doing that, one of the things that I think you find as you're building an organizational excellence program that's founded on operational analytics competencies is that there's a shift in the way people think about what their job is. And so I showed this slide, and this is I'm going to use the word be a lot. And so what I mean by be is again, um, getting the organization to systematically focus on improving what it does and how it does what it does. In other words, build the business. So B stands for build the business. And so A stands for everybody's just doing their jobs, right? So A is administer your job, perform the role, run the process as designed. So my A work is my job. And so I do my job. And then if we just do our job and we don't do any B, then what tends to happen in organizations is they find that they've got a lot of fires to fight. So they've got a lot of C, and you got to cater to crises. And they've got a lot of non-value add, so they've got a lot of do the dumb. D is do the dumb. And so when you tackle systematically creating a business process improvement program for an organization that's founded on strong operational analytics competencies, you see this transition from the left to the right, the left green bar to the right green bar. And so, you know, in most organizations, the B, if we do any, the B gets squeezed out by the C and D. There's no time for the B. The desired state is B is systematically driving C and D out of the business, which gives us more quality time to do A, and it makes it easier to do B. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this slide. I just want to point out that, you know, what we're really trying to do is enable the people doing B and the people doing A with better information, with better data and facts that allows them to not only do their job better, but improve how they're doing their jobs and what they're doing. So again, I went over this slide previously, but what we're really wanting to do with operational analytics is facilitate and enable the creation of solutions that catalyze and enable better decisions faster. And I'll speak more to that. That then drive actions that are focused on improvement and drive implementation faster, that then drive benefits realization faster. In other words, the desired and positive outcomes that we set out to achieve, and then grow enterprise value. In other words, ultimately, we're growing that cube, right? So the end game, if you do this, then this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and then we grow the cube, which is what most C-suite people want. So again, answering the question, why is this important? Why is operational excellence and operational analytics important? I think the Built to Last book that Jim Collins wrote, this is the data, this is a slide right out of his book. This was that chart there, that's how fast the cube, essentially you could think about, that's the rise in the cube of the visionary companies from $1 to $6,356. When they compared the visionary companies to comparison companies, they saw $1 became 1,000. So huge different orders of magnitudes different when organizations do operational analytics and operational excellence correctly. The slide on the right is the project that Dave and I worked on, David Poirier and I worked on at Loblaws. When we started the project, stock price was $6. 10 years after we started the project, what we call NG98, stock price of Loblaws was $60. It's not an accident. It's because of all of the business process improvement, the industrial and systems engineering work we did, all of that cube growing work that we laid the foundation for from 1992 to 1998. So this is why this is important. It's a big deal. This was a slide from last week in our webinar we had on Friday. You know what we obviously want. We've got strong in healthcare. We've got strong pressures on efficiency and optimization. We've got non-traditional care environments. We've got population health issues growing larger and more complex. We've got the emergence of predictive medicine and the integration of AI and then personalized healthcare. And so in order for healthcare to respond to all of these evolutionary challenges and opportunities that they're facing, it really places a premium on organizations being able to create solid op analytics programs, which is what that webinar talked about. How has University Health Network built a solid program? And I'll speak to that a little bit more. But so how do we go about engineering better? So that answers the question, why is this important? Which I suspect I'm preaching to the choir. Most of you probably, I suspect, understand intuitively why this is important. So how do we go about engineering better management systems? So my approach in putting this webinar series together was to sort of follow the DC-DOB model. Another way of thinking about the DC-DOB model is the systems engineering V model that I've got shown here. So in OA 101, we really were defining sort of principles and frameworks and methods associated with great OpEx and Op Analytics programs. In 201, we were really fleshing out the concept. Okay, how do we build? What is the roadmap to build operational analytics capabilities and competencies? And now in 301 and 501, we're really focused on detailed design and development. How do we put these components together and get them to work together so that we can get that steep curve in performance improvement over time that's not only has a steep slope, but also is sustainable. And so 401, OA 401, which was our webinar last Friday, is really focused on the right side of this V, and that I really wanted to give you a sense of what does an OpEx and Op Analytics program really look like in a real organization. And I think University Health Network is a premier example, one of my favorite examples of an organization that's doing this, in my opinion, in a very effective and efficient and creative fashion. So we could drill down. I'm not going to do that. We could drill down. We could talk about, you know, what are some of the key components or the key points that I made in 101 and then 201. And so I just put some words in here to represent the types of things that we focused on in OA 101. And again, all of these webinars, 101, 201, and 301 today and 401 last Friday, all of these can be located. You can find them on the IISC website in the training folder, and Alex is going to continue to post that link for the IISC website, as well as the Poirier Group website.